So this section of notes, what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be posting the solutions. And what I would do if I were you is I'd have the video handy, but I would try the problem, check your answers. If you get it right, move on. If you get it wrong, you can come to the video and take a look at it. So don't feel obligated to watch the whole video to do these problems. I prefer you work on your own and use the video to check your answer to help you understand a certain problem. So let's go ahead and get busy. So to find x in the first one, you know that x is an angle and all three angles in a triangle add up to 180. So to find x, all I would do is take 180, subtract 79, subtract 41, and the measure of that angle would be 180 minus 79 minus 41, 60 degrees. For 2, what I would do here is all three angles again add up to 180. So 7x minus 6 plus 9x minus 2 plus 76 degrees adds up to 180. So you have 16x, then that's going to give you negative 8 plus 76 is going to give you plus, 68 equals 180. Now subtract 68 from both sides. 16x equals 112. Divide by 16, and x is equal to 7. They want you to find angle Q now, so what we're going to do is take x and plug it in. 7 times 7 minus 6 give you 49 minus 6, which would be 43 degrees. Now remember here, this is an exterior angle, and that is equal to the sum of the two remote interior. Now, there's two ways to approach this problem. One is to know that the two remote interior angles, if I add them up, 6x plus 10 plus 4x plus 10 equals that exterior angle, which is 120. The other way to do it is to know that these two angles add up to 180. So this angle is 60 degrees, and now you can take these three angles and add them up to 180. But knowing the exterior angles theorem is very beneficial. So solve this by combining the like terms. 10x plus 20 equals 120. Subtract the 20. 10x equals 100. Divide by 10. X is equal to 10. Now notice here in the next example, you're not able to find this angle, so you have to use the exterior angle theorem. So my exterior angle, 22x plus 9, is equal to the sum of these two angles, 9x plus 10 plus 77. So 22x plus 9 equals 9x plus 87. Subtract 9x, subtract 9, you would get 13x equals 87 minus 9 is going to be 78. And when I divide by 13, x is equal to 6. Now, they're asking for, in addition to this, angle GFH. If I trace that angle, GFH, that's this angle here. Now to find that, the easiest way is to either find the measure of angle G and do 180 minus G minus H, or if I wanted to, actually that's probably the easiest way. So if I do 9 times 6 plus 10, that's going to give me 54 plus 10, which is 64 degrees. So this angle here now would be 180 minus 64 minus 77, which would be 39 degrees. For example 5, you have to notice these two angles are congruent, which tells me these two sides are congruent. So to find x, all I'm going to do is take the 2x plus 32, set it equal to 8, And now I can solve for x. 2x equals negative 24. Divide by 2, x is equal to negative 12. Okay, so you're probably wondering, how can x be negative? It's okay for x to be negative. The angle measure when you plug it back in, or the side length when you plug it back in, cannot be negative. Example 6. First thing I'm going to do to find x, I notice these sides are congruent, which means these angles are congruent. If they give me this angle is 150, I can find this angle by doing 180 minus 150, which is 30 degrees. Now, if I take 180, subtract 30, I get 150. So I know these two angles have to add up to 150 degrees, and if they're both congruent, 150 divided by 2 would give me 75 degrees. Now, this side's congruent to this side, which tells me this angle is congruent to this angle. So to find x, I'm going to do 180 minus 125, which would give me 55 degrees. Right away, this angle would be 55, and z then would be 180 minus 55, which is 125. So you know x is 55 degrees, z is 125 degrees. Now to find y, all I'm going to do is 180 minus 55 minus 55, because all three of these angles have to add up to 180, and that would give you 70 degrees. Now the next one, I notice these sides are congruent, which tells me these angles are congruent. These sides are congruent, which tells me these angles are congruent. Now, notice these are vertical angles, and what that basically tells me is these vertical angles are congruent, which makes all four of these angles congruent. So to find this angle, I'm going to do 180 minus 112, which gives you 68 degrees, which makes this 68, which makes this 68, which makes this 68. Now I can go ahead and find this by doing 180 minus 68 minus 68, right? And 180 minus 68 gives you 44 degrees. And now x would be 180 minus 44, which is 136 degrees. I could also use the exterior angle theorem on that one if I wanted to, by saying x is equal to 68 plus 68, which would be 136. Next one, to find x here, notice this line is parallel to this line. And right away, if this is x degrees, I know this is x degrees because these are alternate interior angles. Now, in this triangle, what do all three of those angles have to add up to? 2x plus that 90 degree angles has to add up to 180. So 3x subtract 90 equals 90. X is equal to 30. Here, if I notice, these lines are parallel, right? Which tells me that this angle is congruent to this angle because they're corresponding angles. So if that's A, this is A, this is A, what do all three of those angles have to add up to? A plus 40 equals 180. 2A equals 140. A is equal to 70 degrees. Example 7. They tell you here that all three of these sides are congruent. As soon as I see that, I'm going to go ahead and identify each of these angles as being 60 degrees. Now, if this is a right angle, to find n, I'm going to do 90 minus 60, which is 30 degrees. And if I go to find m, I'm going to do 180 minus the 90 degrees minus that 30 degrees, and that's going to be 60 degrees. Now for number 8, here's what I like to do. I know I'm going to find x by using these three angles add up to 180. But when I go to add those up to 180, I'm going to combine like terms as I see them. 3x plus x is 4x plus x is 5x. Then negative 18 plus 7 minus 9, right? So you have negative 18 plus 7 minus 9. It's going to give you negative 20. That all has to add up to 180. So 5x equals 200. X is equal to 40. So we have x. How do we find y? Well, what I'm going to do now is plug x back in to the other triangle. So 40 plus 21, this angle is 61 degrees. 40 plus 17, this angle is 57 degrees. So now to find y, 180 minus 61 minus 57, and that would give you 62 degrees. Number 9. Notice here, right? If these lines are parallel, if this angle is 113, I know that this angle, these are same side interior angles. So 180 minus 113 is going to give you 67 degrees, which makes this 67 degrees. And I'm going to use this idea here to find x. I know 2x minus 5 has to equal 67 degrees. Add 5, 2x equals 72, x equals 36. Now I could also use that this is 113 because these are corresponding angles and these add up to 180. It's up to you. Now, here's the thing. To find d, I'm going to plug x in. So 2 times 36 would be 72 degrees. And now to find d, so x is 36, d would be 180 minus 67 minus 72, which gives me 41 degrees. Okay? Now, it says here, John is building a doghouse. He decides to use roof truss design below. If DBF is 35 degrees, so DBF, that's this angle here, that is 35 degrees. What is the measure of the vertex angle of the isosceles triangle? So we're trying to find, if this is my isosceles triangle, I'm trying to find the measure of this angle here. Okay, now, here's what you have to notice. And I'm going to blow this picture up a little bit to make it easier to see. So let me go ahead and rewrite this. This angle is 35 degrees. What do all three of these angles have to add up to? 180. So this angle now would be 180 minus 90 minus 35. Okay. It's going to give you 55 degrees. If that's 55 degrees, I know this is 55 degrees, which is going to make that vertex angle 180 minus 55 minus 55, which is 70 degrees. So the measure of a vertex angle of an isosceles triangle is 12 more than 5 times the measure of the base angle. Determine the sum of the measures of the base angles. So if I go here and I draw an isosceles triangle, here's my vertex angle. It says the measure of the vertex angle is 12 more than 5 times the measure of the base angle. So we're going to say the base angle equals x degrees. So that would be x, that would be x. The vertex angle then would be 12 more than 5 times that. So 12 more tells me I'm going to add 12. 5 times the measure of that would just be 5x. So this would be 5x plus 12. Now, what do all three of those angles have to add up to? 5, 6, 7x plus 12 has to add up to 180. 7x equals 168. 168 divided by 7 gives you 24. So the sum of the measures, right, determine the sum of the measures of the base angles. Well, if that's 24 and that's 24, the sum would be 48. All right, AB and AC are legs of an isosceles triangle. So we know these are congruent because they're legs of an isosceles triangle. Angle 1 is 5x. Angle 3 is 2x plus 12. Find the measure of angle 2. Well, if you think about it, right? If this angle 3 is 2x plus 12, these are vertical angles, so that's 2x plus 12, which makes this 2x plus 12. Now, what do these two angles have to do? They make a linear pair, so they add up to 180. So 7x equals 168 again. X is equal to 24. Now, if x is equal to 24, to find the measure of angle 2, 2 times 24 plus 12 is going to be 48 plus 12, which is 60 degrees. The perimeter of triangle EFG is 32. If EFG, determine, right, this is a question, determine if EFG is scalene, isosceles, or equilateral. Well, if the perimeter is 32, that means all three sides add up to 32. So x plus 7 plus 2x minus 3 plus 10 equals 32. So 2x plus x is 3x. 10 plus 7 is 17, minus 3 is plus 14, equals 32. 3x equals 18, x is equal to 6. Now when I plug that in, 6 plus 7 is 13. 2 times 6 minus 3 would give you 9. And you notice, 9, 13, 10, this would be a scalene triangle. 14. Angle A is the vertex of an isosceles triangle. So this is the vertex, which means these sides are congruent. The number of degrees in angle B is twice the number of centimeters in BC. The number of degrees in angle C is 3 times the number of centimeters in AB. The measure of angle B is x plus 6, and the measure of angle C is 2x minus 54. Find the perimeter. So angle B is x plus 6. Angle C is 2x minus 54. Now, if these sides are congruent, these base angles are congruent, so I know angle B is congruent to angle C, which tells me 2x minus 54 is equal to x plus 6. When I solve this, I get x is equal to 60. Now, if x is equal to 60, this angle would be 66 degrees. This angle would be 66. And up here it says, the number of degrees in angle B is twice the centimeters in BC. So right away, I know if BC is going to be, it says here, angle B is twice the number of centimeters in BC. So if the angle is twice that, I know BC would be 66 divided by 2, which is 33. So that side length is 33. Angle C is 3 times the number of centimeters of AB. So if I take 66 divided by 3, that would give me 22, right? And if that side's 22, this side's 22, so the perimeter would be 22 plus 33 And 44 plus 33 will be 77. And that would be your perimeter. (15) Triangle FED is equilateral. So right away, FED, this triangle is equilateral. Right away, 60 degrees, 60 degrees, 60 degrees. Here it tells you GE is perpendicular to DE. So GE perpendicular to, that tells you that's a right angle. Now, angle FEG is x plus y. Angle D is 3x minus 6. Angle F is 6y plus 12. Find xy in the measure of angle FEG. Well, to find x, I know 3x minus 6 is equal to 60. It's going to give me 3x equals 66. X is equal to 22. To find y, I know 6y plus 12 equals 60. 6y equals 48. Y is equal to 6. If I look at that, angle FEG would just be 22 plus 8. Oh, that'd be y equals 8, sorry. 22 plus 8, which is 30. Right? So, x is 22, y is 8, and angle FEG is 30 degrees. You could also do 90 minus 30 to figure that out. Much easier. Here, you're given circle Q. If you're given circle Q, the first thing I'm going to do is mark all the segments I know are congruent because they are radii of a circle. So here's a radius, here's a radius, here's a radius. Now, PS, right? PS is perpendicular to SR. So right away there's going to be a right angle here. If angle P is 36 degrees, find the measure of PSQ. So I'm looking for PSQ, which is this angle here, and the measure of angle R. So PSQ, right away, if these are congruent, I'm going to use this isosceles triangle and say that PSQ is 36 degrees. Now, angle R, if that's 36 degrees, right, this angle is going to be 90 minus 36, which is going to give you 54 degrees. If that's 54 degrees, I know angle R has to be 54 degrees also. Here they tell you this is equilateral, which means all sides are congruent. Angle F is x plus 32. Angle H is 2x plus 4. Solve for x and find the measure of angle G. Well, angle G right away, you don't even have to solve for it because if it's equilateral, all the angles are 60 degrees. And to find x, all I have to do is take one of these, say x plus 32, set that equal to 60, and I would get x is equal to 28. If the perimeter, right, of triangle HGF is 6y plus 24, if HG equals 3y minus 7, right, I know I have three sides times the length of each side, which is 3y minus 7, equals the perimeter of 6y plus 24. 9y minus 21 equals 6y plus 24. 3y equals 45. Y is equal to 15. So the perimeter then would just be 6 times 15 plus 24. 6 times 15 plus 24 is 114. For number 18, whatever you do for these type of problems, do not get in the habit, right, of looking for them in order. What I do is I just go to the diagram and I fill out the obvious. I look for vertical angles, linear pairs, and so on. So right away I'm going to say, look at the 62-degree angle, and I know these are vertical angles, so that's 62. These add up to 180, so 180 minus 62 is going to be 118, which makes this 118. Okay, now here's the thing. This angle, right, this angle here and this angle here, these are corresponding angles, because if you look, they tell you this line is parallel to this line, and they also tell you that this line is parallel to this line. So you're using a combination of everything we learned about. So this angle would then be 118 degrees. If that's 14, that's 118. If I do 180 minus 118 minus 14, that would give me H is 48 degrees. Then for angle B, I'm going to do 180. This is just going to be 180 minus 118, which is 62 degrees, which is also corresponding up there. Now, if H is 48, I know this angle is 48 degrees. Now to find E, 180 minus 118 minus 48. 180 minus 118 minus 48 is going to give you 14 degrees. Now, if I look here, if this is 62 degrees, I know this is 62 degrees because those are corresponding angles with those parallel lines, which makes this 62 degrees, and these are corresponding angles, so that's going to be 62 degrees. So A is 118. B was, where's B? Oh, that's 62 degrees. C is 118. D was 62. E was 14. F was 62. G, 118. And then H would be 48. Finally, on this last problem, all we're going to do, same thing. Fill in things as we know. Linear pairs, vertical angles, using the parallel lines, using triangles, all that. So, right away when I look at B might be the easiest because it's a vertical angle. So B is 28 degrees right away. Now, B is 28 degrees. Notice, B and C are congruent because they're alternate interior angles. So this is 28 degrees. Now to find A, I would do 180 minus 28 degrees because those are a linear pair. 180 minus 28 is going to be 152 degrees. Now, if I look, where can we go next? Oh, this is corresponding with P, so that's 62 degrees. These are marked congruent, so that's 62 degrees. So to find K is just 90 degrees because that box is there, right? These, if I look, N and 62 are alternate interior angles, so I know N is 62. M is going to be 180 minus 62, which is 118. Now to find J right away is going to be 180 minus 166, which is 14 degrees, which makes, if this angle is marked congruent to this angle because they have the same marking, that's going to be 14 degrees, right? And now, if I look, H is going to be 180 minus 14 minus 14. So 180 minus 28 would be 152. Okay. Now, H and G are corresponding angles, so that's 152. F is supplementary to G, so I know 180 minus 152, that's going to be 28 degrees because 180 minus 152 would give me 28. So, So now to find E, what you have to notice, all three of these angles add up to 180. So if I do 180 minus 28, 180 minus 28, that would give me 152. Now think about this. If that's 152, and these two angles are congruent, E is basically 152 divided by 2, which is going to give you 76 degrees. So this is 76. You know D is going to be 180 minus 152, or sorry, minus 28, which is 152. All right, now R, if you think about it, this angle, and this angle are all congruent because of the markings on the diagram. So all three of these angles add up to 180. So 180 divided by 3 would tell you R is 60 degrees. Now, if that's 60, this is 60, this is 60, which makes this angle, right? So make that angle 120. These are same side interior angles. So S is going to be 180 minus 120, which is 60. So now let's look at which ones we have. A, we said was going to be 152. B is going to be 28. C is 28. D was 152. E was 76. F was 28. G was 152. H is 152. I was 14. J was 14. K would be 90. L, where is L? All right, I don't see an L. M is 118. N is 62. P is 62. Q well, R was 60. S was 60. P, where's Q at? I don't see a Q either. So that is the last problem. Hopefully these make sense. If you have any questions, let us know.